to see through your tongue, just remember that's all that vision ever is. All vision ever is
Here's the corner. That's a corner gusset. Here's another corner of the wall that's made up, and so you can actually see the reflection of the person who's holding the phone. Their hand is like right. Their hand reflection is right there. So that's the. There's another piece of plastic right in front here. That's you know separating the person from the animal, so that the animal can safely interact with
Can you
it.
guys hear me? Okay, it looks like you guys will be able to hear me now.
It's a
But let me get a confirmation of that in the chat. Okay, very cool. Let's see here. All right. I don't know why it reset itself. I do not believe I did anything, but it seems to have happened. So basically, what I was saying was I'm ill prepared. I have not been streaming because I was doing this cool thing, or at least I think it's cool, where basically you guys know that I make a game a month, and so in doing that, I have to basically make a set of code that is kind of generally usable across all the projects. That way, I don't have to redo it, because when we're talking like 3 hour streams, 5 days a week over 4 weeks, that ends up being 60 hours to make a game. So if I can save like 3 hours here and there, that's a significant percentage. But basically, if you guys remember last stream, for those of you who were here, it was like a whole bunch of projects set up that was taking a really long time and was really annoying and just a terrible stream. I feel bad about it. And so I basically made this project called Quest Starter that has everything I need in it and is basically like a base set for a game that would take like hours to get set up, even for me. And now I just clone that. And so copying it takes like, I think like, it basically, and this is what's cool about reusing code. This is why I think it's cool, and hopefully why you guys will think it's cool. But basically, instead of taking 3 to 4 hours, depending on if I make mistakes or whatever, it'll now take, let's see, how long has this been? It now takes about, well, anyway, you guys get the point, but I'll click out. I'll just minimize that for now. But it now takes about like 15 seconds. So that's cool. So all I've done so far is I've cloned this. I called it Saiyan Power Up Simulator, and I'll show you guys what we get for that. We basically have a loading screen that is the, yeah, okay, and it's already done. So it's quick as that. And then you would just rename that. I would just rename this to Saiyan Power Up Sim or whatever. I've also renamed the game to Saiyan Power Up Simulator because a lot of people were asking if I was going to do Naruto and Attack on Titan power-ups and things like that, and I realized it was kind of ambiguous. I'm mostly going for that Saiyan style power-up simulator. But very cool. So we basically have a game where you can spawn all the persistent objects that are going to be across any scene you have. You have a loading screen that will allow you to load into various scenes without having that stutter. And then you have spawns. And so if we click play, if the headset is set up correctly, it should load into the main scene. The VR should work. And I actually got animated hands in now. So if anybody is interested in how I did that, I can probably help you out with that. It was really easy. I basically just took Oculus's already animated hands and I made them generic so that they would work on any controller and headset instead of just the Oculus stuff. It was like a weird amount of work for something that was that you'd think would be so simple. But it's not a lot of work once you know how to do it, so it's not bad. All right, let's see what Lucas said here. Right, so if you signed up, you will receive an email. Okay, cool. Thanks for helping people out with that, Lucas. And in general, if you guys could help people out who have questions like that in the chat so that I do not have to answer them. Because a lot of people come in with these questions. that would be extremely helpful for me, and I'd really appreciate it. So let's see here. Streaming, current task, voice activation. Let's say that. All right, cool. So we'll get out of this. Yeah, so I guess the game is what? You load in, it's extremely simple. It's just going to be an experience you play once, have fun with, and then be done with. But you'll load in, you'll scream, things will happen around you, and then it'll be done. You'll be fully powered up, and that'll be it. So, let's see. Lucas said cool question mark. Not sure to what he's referring to. Okay, so... And you see in this project, there's a whole bunch of stuff I've imported that we'll basically be using in every game, such as generic pools and Quest project settings validator. It should be said that this project is for games that are on Quest, which is what I'm making. Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were taking a stab at me, Lucas. Let's see here. So, we have a lot of these files from the... I had already made this to some extent in another... project. Oh, and by the way, for you guys who don't know this, and it's already in this little project, but let me show you guys, because this is like the world's greatest package. It's called Quick Search, I believe, or something search. Yeah, Quick Search. Quick Search will basically allow you to, once you click it, this will say import, you import it into your project. You can do Control-Shift-F, and now you can find anything in your project. So my scenes are kind of across different folders. So if I want loading screen, I do this. I click Alt-Enter, it loads it up. If I want main, I do the same thing, and it loads it up. It's basically as any sort of developer, where would I find it under? Yeah. As any sort of developer, you basically want to learn all the keyboard shortcuts. You never really want to be touching your mouse. That's hard to do in Unity. I touch my mouse constantly in Unity. But if you're coding and stuff like that, you don't want to be touching your mouse. So, okay, cool. So let's check out. Let's import a new asset and let's go into that other project. Should be. What would it be called? It's not Power Up Simulator old, okay. And then there should be a scripts, birds, built-in, speed tree, power events. So we'll probably want all those power events. I'm just looking through my old code right now. We won't need any of that. Ground vibrate mic input, my math. Power level manager, randomized sound effect. So we'll probably just go ahead and get in, for now, these two. Power level manager and mic input, randomized sound effect. Cool. Okay, so we'll take these two, we'll put them in scripts. And we'll make a folder and we'll call it Power Level Manager. Power Level Management, let's call it. And let's put these two in here and then we'll take a look at them and see what we're working with here. Okay, cool. So we have mic input. Let's take a look at it. I believe it was just a linear progression of power levels. And when I say a linear progression, what I mean is, if we look at something like Graph Toy, and we get rid of all these. So I don't know if you guys have learned graphs yet, but basically a linear progression would be a progression like this. The further I move out this way, I have the same response this way. So you go 1 and this goes up 1. You go out 2 and this goes up 2. You go out 3 and it goes up 3 and so on. You can have responses that are nonlinear, which would be something like this. You go out 1 and you go up 1. You go out 2 and you go up 4. That's a nonlinear response because in that same step that I did, 1 here, another 1, it went up 4 times more than it did the first time. So that's nonlinear. No problemo. And hey, Spider-Man. Glad you're here. Let's see. So that's what I mean by that. I believe the power levels went up linearly. It wasn't like anything crazy. Require component. Checks the volume of the microphone and broadcasts it. Okay, cool. Okay, I figured I wasn't using the mixer for anything. I don't know why that would be in there. Okay. Audio source. But I serialize it. I'm not sure why I would serialize that. So let's get rid of that as well. Let's move this up. It's funny how you get better at programming just within like a month or two. Okay, so those are my events. Or at least you come up with little things. And this game's fairly simple, guys. So if you have any questions about this programming and whatnot, I'd be more than happy to answer them. No, I mean, they could, simple questions, complicated questions, doesn't really matter to me. Okay, cool. Start is called before the first frame update. Okay, so it gets the audio source and then it sets the clip to microphone start. Sets it to microphone start, and let's take a look at what parameters that takes in. The device name, which I believe if you pass a null, it'll just grab the first device. Because you could have multiple microphones. For instance, if I made this game on the PC, there would be like 7 different microphones, right? I want it to loop, I want it to go for 10 seconds, and it takes some sort of frequency. Okay, cool. Oh. Okay, the function returns null if they're recording. Okay. Loop, true. And then basically, on volume received, invoke, get mic amplitude. So then basically every frame I am sending out the current microphone amplitude, get data from microphone into audio clip, and basically there's a level max, wave data. This is some like basic sort of audio math here. Hopefully a spot opens up. I really want to be a playtester. Yeah, so I haven't quite announced it yet, guys, but I'll just give you kind of a little window into what I'm thinking. Currently, if you look at the playtesters, there's like 98 of them, 100 spots filled, but only 98 of the emails have gone out successfully. And like 40 of those people have not actually opened the email and accepted it or like gotten the game. So they're kind of just taking up spots that other people would like to fill. So what I'll probably do is every week, until the game releases, because then obviously everyone can just play it. But every week I'll probably move out the people who have not accepted, get rid of them, and move in new people. So there will be some opportunity for that. And then I think I'm probably gonna, well, I won't go any more into it than that. But that's probably how to work. Okay, get position. Okay, cool. So it just gets the peak amplitude in the last 128 samples. Because it's going to sample it like, I don't know. No need to worry about that too much. But it's going to grab the last 128 samples from the microphone, which are going to be numbers denoting how loud you are. And then I'm just going to return the max loudness from those 128 samples. So that's cool. And then I broadcast it. So now if we go back here and we go into in only a week from 100 to, yeah, has it only been a week? I feel like it's been a little longer than that, but I guess you're probably right. What are we at now? Yeah, sweet. No, I'm really happy with it, and I'm happy with the community we've made around it. It's really exciting. Okay, it manages what power level you're at using the mic volume. Okay, so now I have a script that's going to listen to that. That's basically saying like, yeah, microphone, give me how loud you are, because I want to do stuff with it. And it looks like I have a volume threshold, the minimum volume they need to be considered powering up. Okay, so how loud you need to scream. The max breath lengths, max time they can take a breath without being penalized. Because I figured you're going to be like, But you can't do that the whole time. So eventually you'll probably be like, so I'm allowing a breath hold. Min yell threshold, min time they need to yell before it starts adding, so that you can't like chirp. And power levels needed to pass each threshold. Current power, time since yell, time blah 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 blah, level 1 reached. Okay, events for decrease. I don't think we're actually going to decrease, so I would imagine these are not really in there. And this is basically just saying there's going to be 8 levels. There's going to be 8 levels, and something will happen on each of those events. So nothing crazy there. Okay. So then on enable, you can see we're now listening to the mic input. We're saying, okay, when volume is received, go ahead and call this function, which is this function right here. And we can actually take this out of the Unity editor because it's just going to be on Quest. Well, let's leave it in. Because it's just going to be on Quest. Equals volume threshold plus 1. Okay, cool. Physics auto simulation is set to false. I don't know why I'm setting that here. That's probably unnecessary. Yeah, if your game isn't using any physics, by the way, it's a good idea to set the auto simulation to false on headsets like the Quest. If you're making a game for PC, it doesn't really matter, but it can take up upwards of like a millisecond on Quest, even if you're not really doing any physics. So it'll just, if you're having trouble hitting frame rate, this will help. So let me actually maybe do this real quick before I forget. Let's just call it settings. And let's call it game settings. Don't know what the best way to go about this is because I've never really done it before, but let's just do physics dot auto simulation equals false. And we'll just say a script to set game settings that we need. And then we'll come back into main here. We'll make an object, we'll call it game settings. And I'm making an object with Control-Shift-N, by the way, is why you're not seeing me click anything. And then I'm hitting F2 to rename it, F2, rename. Add component, game settings. Cool, and because I've added this component, this will now run, and it will set that to false. So now I can go back to that other script and do what it is I was gonna do. Okay. Okay, so then basically I have a little test thing in here so I don't have to scream that basically says if I click 1 on the keyboard, go ahead and power me up. If amplitude is greater than volume threshold, time since yell equals 0, reset it, time spent yelling, add to it. If time spent yelling is less than the min yell threshold, so they have not been yelling long enough, go ahead and just return. Otherwise, current power, add 5.5 times time dot delta. Okay, which is just a linear progression. It doesn't matter how fast you're yelling as long as you're yelling louder than the minimum necessary, basically. I did play, it was too hard to time the events because there are two options here, right? Either you can yell and it will just always be the same amount of time required to get to the new event, or if you yell louder, you'll get to that event faster. And that idea is cooler, however, there's a lot of problems with it because I can't. It just requires a lot more testing, let's say that, because it's possible they're not really able to yell that loud, and then they have to take like an hour to yell, and then it like takes an hour for them to actually get to something, whereas someone else who yells really loud and is capable of that is able to get there really quickly. So it's just easier to do a linear. It's a one size fits all. Let's see. And then for the power levels, X is greater than the power level. Basically say, okay, and then I didn't want to decrease power levels. That's not something we're going to put in the game. Once you've increased your power level, you stay there. Okay, cool. So this script is simply saying, as your power level increases, go ahead and add to your current power level, and then calling power level. Okay, cool. So this is something that we can test right off the bat. Mic input power level. So let's make a new thing and let's call it power level manager. And we will add mic input. We will add power level manager. Well, you know what, honestly, let's make another one and call it mic input. Let's not clutter up an object. Cool. Very cool. And then let's get rid of these and just put power level manager on it. 1, 2. Okay. So it looks like there were 8 levels. So we'll put this to 8. Volume threshold. Let's put it at 0.1 because we'll test both of these. Max breath length. Let's give him a second. Min yell threshold. Let's say that you have to be yelling for at least 0.5 seconds. Cool. And then let's just make this 10, 20. You know what? We need to make this first one 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions about this so far? What we're doing here? And then I'll keep going while I mess with that. Okay, cool. So let's test this in 2 ways. One, let's play it. Let's hold 1, which is our test number. Okay, so nothing has happened yet, and that can be for a couple reasons, but let's dive a little deeper into this. First of all, let's make sure that this is actually okay. Let's debug.log the amplitude. So let's make sure this is actually calling. And then let's do that first. Hey, Neon, glad you're here. Neon, you put any more work into your Destructive Giant game? Okay, cool. So we can see the numbers are going up if we're quiet. Let me point something out here. This may look like a really big number, but this is actually a, what's this called? Scientific notation for how a number is done, where you put this E. What that E means is times. So let's see, for those of you who don't know. Let me let this dog out real quick. Get out of here, get some mangy butt. Okay, cool. A little, I'm going to fix a sign, and then I'm just waiting for publish. Yeah, also, you don't need to do entitlement check anymore, so I was wrong about that, Neon, so you should be good. Okay. I know you said you did it, but I was a little dubious of it because you got the game together so fast, and I know entitlement check can be a pain. Cool. So scientific notation. Basically, if I have 3e to the 2, if I have 3e2, basically what that is saying is that equals 3 times 10 to the second power. And 10 to the second power equals 100. 10 to the third power equals 1,000. 10 to the fourth power equals 10,000, right? So basically, to the 10 to the power of a number is just how many zeros come after that 10, essentially, or how many zeros are in it. So then you're basically saying like 3e2 is 300, 3e3 is 3,000, 3e4 is 30,000, because you're going to be multiplying it by that number. So this over here, when it says 3.0517 e to the negative 5, is basically saying, if this was negative 4, this is now going to be 0.000. I think it might just be 000. Let me see. That would be 1. 2 would be this. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's kind of how that works. All right. Hey, Tony, glad you're here. Okay, so very cool. So if we unpause it, if it works. It's not following it anymore. But anyway, my point being, we can see that the microphone is working, so there's some other problem in there. And let's see what it is. Time scale is 0 if get alpha code amplitude is greater than volume threshold. Volume threshold is 0.1. It'll set the amplitude to 0.2. Time sense EL equals 0. Instead of all this, let's go ahead and just do the current power. And let's output just so that we can take a look at it. Let's output current power and current power level. Let's just make sure that this is working right. I see. Okay, I was pressing the wrong button. I was pressing the wrong key, I should say. Okay, so if we look at it, it started at 0 power level, and then we went to power level 1 somewhere in here, right here. Okay, cool. So let's now just do one last check for sanity, and then we should be good. So we have 8 power levels corresponding to these over here. And let's just check that we can hit all 8 of those if we hold down this default key. I always check Discord and out. Neon, do you not have a testing spot? That would surprise me. Okay, calling power level 1, calling power level 2, calling power level 3. Let me hold off for a second just to make sure it doesn't decrease or anything. Calling 4, calling 5, 6, 7, and 8. What if I keep holding it? Okay, very cool. So now we basically know that the back-end system for these power levels holds up nicely. That it holds up nicely. That now if we just hook things up to it, as you scream, you're going to power up, basically. So let's see. No, I'm saying for the silkworm. Oh, it's gonna be a while, Neon. It's gonna be like 6 weeks. Those guys take forever. Okay, cool. So now that we know we have that, let's create another folder and let's call it power levels. And let's import new assets, and I already have all the scripts for this written as well. Current level menu, randomized sound effect, my math, ground vibrate. Well, A will probably want this. And then we'll probably want these. Okay, cool. So I believe the first one was you had some sort of... Wait, so to play this game we have to scream, like mic based. Yes, DJ, that is correct. To play this game you have to scream. I did not expect everyone will want to do that, but for me it's very funny, you have to see. So I want to see some videos of people playing it. But let's see here. So I guess we need to make a little world. We need to make a little world. The first one is that dust picks up and like kind of starts spreading around you. And I believe that yeah, no, you have to scream. It's just that, again, people are only making shooters with VR, and it has so much potential. It like has a microphone and everything. Like, you are guaranteed to know people have a microphone when they're playing this game, and that's very powerful because now you can use that microphone for stuff. Like, games don't use microphones, and so I think that's fun. Okay, let's see if we can actually just... We might be able to import... We might be able to import the... I'm just thinking I can probably get a lot of this from the previous project, and I'm trying to think what the best way to do that is. Let's open it up and take a look at it. Yeah, but like you lose your voice and now you can't play, or even just a cold. I don't think you're going to get a cold from screaming, DJ. I don't know if that's how colds work. But the game's not long enough for you to lose your voice, really. It'll probably be like a 40-minute experience, something like that. So... Alright, let's take a look at this. Okay, so I had this bird. That was good. Let me see. Let's look for the stuff that we actually need here. Okay, all this audio will be good for sure. So let's go ahead and grab that while we're here. Let's move animated hands in there. Okay, and let's create something called art, or a folder called art, I should say. And then in here, let's do audio. And we'll do Foley. Foley being the word for, like in music you have Foley, which would be like the sound of someone's footsteps. So when you're watching a movie, for those of you who don't know, let's see. Basically, if like somebody's walking through the snow in a movie and you hear the crunching of their feet on the snow, that's not actually, they didn't actually record that on site. They didn't have someone walk through the snow there and just record it. What they do is in post later, they have someone take shoes and stamp them through the snow, and then they line that up with the movie. It's basically just a cleaner way to get the audio, and that's called Foley. Let's see if we can actually just get like an image of it or something. Yeah, so it's the people doing this kind of stuff. Like just dropping bowling balls into sand or whatever. They watch the movie and they basically try to emulate the sounds that are happening. So it's a really cool job, actually. It's really interesting because you have to be very creative to do it. Maybe, but there is a chance that the creator will make another way to transform. Not from the game, but if either happen, then you can't play the game. Yeah, I'm truly not that worried about it, DJ. I can't imagine people are gonna scream so hard they hurt themselves. And I don't even know if that's possible per se, to scream so hard you hurt yourself. Let's see. So then we need to go ahead and grab the audio. So we'll do import new asset, assets, art, audio. Can I import these? Cannot. Okay, they're gonna make this tough for me, aren't they? You know what, let's go ahead and just open up a file explorer. That'll be quicker. We need to do Power Simulator old, assets, art, all this audio. We'll grab all that, we'll copy it, then we'll come back out and we'll come into Saiyan Power Up Simulator, assets, art, audio, Foley. Let's get rid of these, because now we're gonna re-import them and just import it all in there, and that should be good. And it's just importing everything now. Okay, cool. So we have all these sounds. Okay, very cool. So we needed the sounds. Let's go back and look through the project a little bit more. Art materials. So it wasn't an art. I'm basically looking for the particle systems that I was using previously for this. Let's go ahead and load the scene. Okay, nothing is here. Where's the player? Right here. Power level. Looks like everything was turned off for some reason. So we'll turn it all back on. So it won't look this nice. This was for PC. We're now making it for mobile, so it's not going to look quite this nice. But we can probably get something that's similar. Okay, dust flat. Okay, and how do I copy this? Would be the question. How do I copy it from this project to the other one? You'd think this would be something I'm used to doing. But geez, my phone has fallen all over the place. Let me unplug it from the charger for now. Let's see, do I have quick search in here? Dust. First of all, let's apply all that. Okay, and then let's find it. Well, actually, maybe we can just do this. Okay, and now let's see if we can import it that way. Art, and we'll call it particle effects. Okay, and we will open that up, import new asset. Okay, fair enough. And then it's renderer. What script is it missing here? Particle system power event. Okay, and we have some errors in our script, so we won't be able to add anything yet. That's fine, we know what that is. Then let's click on this and go into renderer, and it's missing a material. Let's just do, what is it, default particle? It's got to be somewhere in here. It should be this one, but it looks a little strange, and I'm not sure why. Let's investigate. Okay, and these are how particle systems work, by the way. It's got, well, let's see if we can fix this out. Let's look at the other project. Oh, it had a material. I see. It was called dust. Okay. Let's open up another one because we're probably going to do this a couple times. And we'll go into how these particle effects work in a second here. Since I've kind of pre-made them, and maybe that's not so great for you guys who are trying to learn. So let's see. Unity projects, I'm looking for the old one. Power Up Simulator old. Assets. Imported. Particle effects. Let's come out here, go into imported, and let's put particle effects in there. This will probably take a second to load up. Yeah, because it's going to need to import those and change all these textures. So this will take a second. So this would be a good time. Well, let's do it in the other projects. Well, this one is loading up. First of all, unload that scene. Don't save it. Dust ball. Move it up. No, actually, wait. Dust flat. Put it in here. Where is it? Ooh. And I believe my computer is having some trouble. Okay, now this one is messed up as well. Let me get rid of it. Let's create a new particle effect and let's just go through some of this stuff. This other one is importing, so it'll take a second. So basically, I don't know where these God rays came from, but they're cool. You would come in, you would do effects, you do particle system. This is a new particle system. Let's just call it like blue noise, something like that. Click on it. Okay, so you see you start out with something like this. And then if you click it in the inspector, there's a component on it called particle system. That is what makes it a particle system. And that is what you can change to change values in it. So if we take a look at it, some of these basic ones, we have start lifetime. So let's make that 1 second. And now you see they only live for a second. Let's switch that back to 5. Start size 1, we can make it smaller. We can make it bigger. So that's good as well. You can also have a random start size, I believe, if you do random between two constants. Yeah, so now let's make this 2, let's make this 2, and let's make this 2. So now you can see some of them are different sizes as well, so that's good. So you can get some randomness in there. Let's take that off. Let's just make it a constant. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Then you have gravity modifier, so you can actually turn gravity on, so that might be good for like a fountain or something. Of course, right now it's just these white circles, but you can put any image on there that you want, so you can make some sort of water effect that way, things like that. So if we make the gravity simulator 1, it would fully simulate gravity. And let's make the start color, well actually let's not mess with the start color. Let's go into color over lifetime, let's turn that on, because we now want it to change its color over its lifetime. And let's say that it's, which of these is alpha? Okay, cool. So we add another one. We say that it starts at 0 alpha, goes up to full alpha, alpha being transparency, and then goes back to 0. So now if we look at it, it fades in, then fades out. And of course these yellow lines will not be there in the actual game. It's just showing you where the particles are. So that's how you get a fade in, fade out, and then you might say something like, okay, well, first of all, start speed, let's make that 0 so that they're just sitting there. And then you might look at shape and you say, okay, it's currently emitting from a cone. Let's make it emit from a sphere. Let's make that sphere a little bit bigger. Let's increase the radius thickness so that it really only spawns on the outside of the sphere. So you'd see if you go in it, it's all on the outside. Then you could turn on some noise. Cool. And let's change this color to some sort of blue. Okay. We'll have that same color. So now it's this kind of blue thing. And let's go into noise and let's increase the strength of it so that they're all kind of going crazy. And let's see. What are some other cool things you can do here? So you have rotation over lifetime if you want it to rotate, size by speed. There's a bunch of stuff you can do, essentially. You can change the color by the speed of the particle. Let's see, emission. Emission is another important one. I'm currently doing 10. I could do 1. And that's the new one. So now every second it's only doing 1. I can also do 100. And then it would be a crazy amount of particles. So you can make a lot of cool stuff with this. Alright, Jake, I'll see you later. No worries. So you can make a lot of cool stuff with particle effects. They're really nice. And sort of powerful. Okay, and that's still importing all those. So no worries on that. Let's see. And just to give you guys a taste of... Let's see. Nothing like that.
Unity's contour of particles.
So you can make a bunch of stuff like this.
Your artistic consumption. Wander the gallery of blinding flamethrower explosions.
Like explosions, lightning effects, things like that.
And dissolve effects. Customizable multicolored fireflies. Gory goop effects. Flying ice shards.
So you can make some really cool stuff, you can see. Like the artists get really, really excited about making particle effects. Just because you can make some really cool stuff. So, very cool. Is this done importing? It is not quite done importing yet. I probably should have just imported only the things I was going to use, realistically, but that's okay. Let's see if we can do anything else that's kind of interesting on this. First of all, let's turn this back down to 10. Let us... Maybe we can put like a tail on it or something. I'm just doing random things while we wait for it to import. Like a trail. Trails are kind of interesting. Open it up. Assign a trail material in the renderer module. And we'll just do the same default. Particle system. So now we have these trails, and instantly that makes it look a lot cooler. If you were doing some sort of firefly effect or something like that. Let's say ratio. Let's make that 1. Let's make the lifetime like 0.1. Let's make the... Okay, size effects width. Make it smaller. Cool. So just stuff like that. So you can get an effect that looks like that pretty easily with just sort of simple stuff. It is a little annoying, unfortunately, that these trails behave the way they... Sorry, not the trails. That it like renders the bounds of the particle. I find that it's hard to figure out exactly what I'm going for when it's doing that. But that's okay. I don't know where this... I didn't know that this God Ray stuff came... It must be Unistorm. That's okay. Okay. So it's still not done. We'll just wait a second then. Sometimes this is what it's all about in game development. You're just sitting here waiting. Yeah. Oh, if it does, Thought Drifter, I will be extremely pumped. Because I've been trying to figure that out for a long time. It does not look like it does. Maybe one of these does, though. Maybe I can Google this and figure it out real quick. Selection outline setting in the gizmo menu. I thought I had turned it off, but let's see. Oh! Oh my god, Thought Drifter, you saved my life. It's that was so annoying for me. It was like horribly, terribly annoying. Thank goodness you're in the chat. I knew this chat was gonna come in handy for me. Freaking yeah. So if you didn't see Thought Drifter, it is in Gizmos. You click selection outline. It's one of the 4 selections at the top. So that's really cool. Okay, very cool. Yeah. I don't know if you were having that same problem, Thought Drifter, but it's terrible. It's impossible to like get an actual artistic look at this particle you're trying to make when the selection outline is on. Okay, cool. And the other thing appears to be done now. So we will click that, and blah, 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 blah. And then now let's take a look at it. First of all, let's go in here and let's get rid of these 2. Okay, apparently okay, and then it looks like we have okay, that's fine. Imported particle effects. Okay, and let's assign it the correct one, and then let's take a look at this. All right, come on. Smoke Puff 04. And basically right now I'm just trying to convert. Yeah, good job. I'm trying to convert these particle systems into working on the universal render pipeline, but it's giving me trouble, unfortunately. Let's see. And now that there's not a ton of people in the chat anyway, I'm gonna sort of take my time with this. There's not all the stress. Okay, cool. I'm just currently looking for that particle system. Oh, dang. I must have not copied them. I must have moved them. Oh, man. I messed up. That's not good. Well, let me start copying them back. Except this time I'll copy them so that it doesn't mess everything up. Okay, cool. Renderer particle effects. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is all new to me, this conversion, so I'm having to learn this. I'm gonna have to learn this real quick. I'm wondering where the... Don't think we're gonna get away with shadows, unfortunately. That's okay though. Weird. I don't know what's wrong here. This feels very strange. Okay, even without the blending, it's still working. I thought maybe that was it. Why would this one look like this? Alright, come on. Let's see. Are you working on a project right now, Thought Drifter? Oh, yeah, okay, nice. As regular old work. Yeah, hopefully I never have to do that ever again. Because I do not enjoy it. Okay, it said that it might have changed my project settings. Hopefully not. It would be very bad if I couldn't get these to work. I had a similar issue with particles the other day. I had to play around with the shaders and it finally solved it. Can't remember what I did, but I think I set it to a legacy shader. Are you using Universal Render Pipeline or the default Thought Drifter? What I want to know is I want to know. Let me create like a cube or something. I did it. I did it. Jeez, there's always like legacy shaders are. You're saying the legacy shaders work with URP? Okay, so I just solved it, but let's check out this whole legacy shader thing as well. Legacy shaders. Maybe some of them work with it or something, like multiply. Oh yeah, it looks like it does work with it actually. Okay, very cool. I'm gonna go back to Universal Render Pipeline particles. So the way I just fixed it is I changed the surface type from opaque to transparent up here at the top. It's under surface options, which might have been closed. It might have been, no, it was probably open. Color mode multiply, blah, 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 alpha clipping. Makes sense, cool, yeah. Man, this is epic. You just kind of solving problems together. Okay, let's see. Blending mode. Let me just click through these so I can make sure that I get what I want. Okay, anyway. Let's take a look at it. Oh, it's horrible. What's happening with it? Why? Okay, so there's some problems here. Okay, cool. That's probably good enough for me. I don't know why it was looking stuttery like that, but I do know that turning off. I wonder if specular highlights seems weird. I do know that turning off flipbook blending. What is soft particles anyway? What are soft particles? Unity. It's weird that they won't just tell me what it is. What is soft particles? Kind of like coding will tell me. When billboard particles intersect geometry, the sharp transition is both visually jarring and makes their flat nature obvious. The solution for this is to use soft particles which fade out when there's opaque geometry close behind them. Okay, so that's probably why it looked a little stuttery. Let's turn that on. Let's camera fading. Distortion. Okay. No way, Mr. Avocado. You got the golden hands? Take a picture of it and put it in the Silkworm channel. I'm sure people will be pumped to see it. Is your last game out on App Lab? No, neither of them are, Magnus. I don't know. And hey, Nutty Saul, I'm just currently reworking some of the particle effects for the game. No, none of them are. They take so long. I'm one of the beta testers. So if someone else in the chat could help, perhaps Mr. Avocado could help him out with that. It's a little bit of an explanation, and I need to do these particles here. Okay, it says they require in the pipeline settings. So let's go into settings, click this pipeline, and let's turn on the depth texture because I'm curious. No, yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. It's so weird. It's gonna give someone a freaking. Let's see if it looks like that in game. Oh, we need to change some. Let's get rid of that. Let's do that. So that should solve that problem. Same thing here. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. It was a different package this time around than it was the last time. Hey, chill. I don't think Danger Dom, I have a question. Will you be adding like Carbon Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, Blue, Kaioken, Yumui, and the Attack on Titan? So those were all great ideas, I think, chill. I am basically going to add whatever I can get done in under a month. So today's the second day, and we will see. I certainly like the idea of picking different animes and powering up in that way. I think for now we're just going to stick with like a basic Super Saiyan level 1 power up. If you could Yeah, it's going to be more of a generic power-up, let's say that, than it will be anything crazy. Well, sorry, it'll be crazy, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get like the different levels in right now or something. Yeah, people are really pumped about the JoJo. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. So, what was I testing? I needed to fix these. Unistorm could not be found. The namespace Unistorm weather changer. This is the weather at the appropriate time. For now, we'll just get rid of this because we'll probably change the weather a different way now that we're not going to be using any of that crazy stuff. Okay. Now let's play and let's see if it looks like that in the game. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it's not lying to us. Okay, so the player is actually nowhere near the... Where's the player spawn at? 000, where's this at? Looping. Okay, let's play it. I really want to play Silkworm. Are you using lit or simple lit? I'm using simple lit. I honestly can't tell the difference. I'm not enough of like an aesthetic file to know. Supposedly it doesn't have energy conservation and things like that. I mean, I'm a graphics engineer. I understand the formulas and I understand what they're not using, kind of. But it's just not that important to me. Okay, where's this? Where is this and why isn't it playing? Yeah, it's weird. It looks all poppy. It's almost like it's just doing the flipbook wrong. Like it's just turning... Let me see. I can't even see what's happening here. Let me change this to 1. It looks like it's scrolling through the flipbook correctly. I mean, they look correct. It's just weirdly poppy. Okay, so first of all, let me go into... What was I just doing? I need to go back into my settings and make sure to turn depth texture off because that's going to be a little too much for the quest, unfortunately. Well, I don't know that it'll be too much for the quest. It's just likely to be. Basically, when you have a depth texture, I assume what they're talking about is a pre-depth pass is what it's called. And basically what that'll allow you to do is you're going to render all the geometry once into a depth texture. And then you'll know... How to explain this? Simple lit is better for less powerful devices because non-physics based. Was curious to see what you were using. Yeah, just simple lit. But basically, sorry, no, so it says that the... Okay, cool. I'm glad you got it. Basically, in a game, if I have like this object... Let me try this again. If I have these objects, and then when I'm playing the game, if I'm standing behind them like this, with a simple use case like this, it probably won't matter, but there's something called overdraw, and basically, I'm gonna probably draw each of these 4 objects. Which one makes it to the screen is not always obvious. So sometimes you have to draw multiple of them, and each draw requires computation, right? So if I'm only going to render, this is an opaque surface, I'm not going to see the 4 blocks behind it. If I'm rendering the 4 blocks behind it only to cover them up, that's called overdraw, and it actually messes up, or it actually just takes computation away from things that could be used elsewhere. So a depth pre-pass will basically assure that none of that overdraw happens, because the first thing it's going to do instead of drawing to the screen is draw to a depth buffer. So it'll basically know the depth of the scene, like how far away it is from the camera. Like this pixel is a meter away, this pixel is like 10,000 meters away. And then from there, it'll only render objects that are at that depth, right? So that's nice, but it requires a lot of extra draw calls and a lot of extra vertex processing, things like that, which is not something you have a lot of on the Quest. So you're better off saving computation somewhere else than doing that depth pre-pass. When can I get the beta for Silkworm? I'm not sure, Magnus. It just depends on Oculus. Let's see. So let's get rid of those. Cool. So dust flat, play. So yeah, it's got this weird poppy thing going. I'm not sure why. Let's remember that let's just do 10. What's up, Aaron? You can come in.
Just gotta grab some shoes real quick.
Alright, no worries. Let's see, so we figured out how to sort of help this. I'm trying to...
You wanna cut it in or out?
Oh, he can leave.
Alright. Come on.
Well, he can stay if he wants, but you can close the door. It doesn't matter.
Alright.
Alright, Coda, you're hanging with me now. It's the dog. It's the house dog. Alright, he wants to leave, clearly. Okay, so let's turn soft particles off. Let's go ahead and lock this so that I can keep messing with it. So it's playing. Turn these on. Doesn't do anything. Blends the frame. So weirdly, the thing that is supposed to make it not poppy is making it poppy. And I think we can all agree that's a little confusing. Flipbook blending blends the frames together so that it's a smooth animation. Makes it look terrible. Now it's smooth. Very strange. Let's see if the other one is any different. Universal render pipeline, particles. Let's do unlit. No, it's terrible. I wonder if I messed something up, honestly. I know there was a little warning error, and it said, I know there was a little warning error, and I just basically said fix, and I'm wondering if I might have messed it up in doing so. But I don't remember where I did that. I think it was on this material. Let me grab these. Let me go into this materials, and let me grab dust. Let me move it over here. Well, never mind, my bad. I'm in the wrong thing. Let me grab dust again from here. Put it under particle effects. Unlock this. Apply the vertex stream layout to all particle systems using this material. Okay, and then let's do universal particles, simple lit. Let's go back to dust flat. Let's give it this one instead. And we'll lock this again so that we can play it, and then we'll mess around with it. Okay, and let's do a quick Google search here to see what's up with flipbook blending. Okay, let's not worry about it too much because I don't think it really looks that bad like this either. I mean, that looks pretty much good enough for me. I don't think anybody's gonna get mad. I was just curious mainly, and let's click through some stuff and see if we can figure it out. Let's make it a trilinear filter. That didn't do anything. That's fair enough. I'm just kind of messing with some stuff. Most of the time, this is how you figure stuff out in games. Let this dog out. Okay, very cool. Let's see, and there's one more thing I wanted to try before we just turn off the flip book and move on with it. And then I can always look into that later. But basically, let's see here. I wanted to click this, lock it, play it, and then let's use the legacy ones and see if they work. Okay, and that's kind of what I figured that they would, and I'm not really sure why they do. Cool, thanks for the depth explanation. I saw a cool asset over the weekend that I think helps with that. Amplify imposters, ever heard of that? I think I have, yeah. I know Amplify did do something with imposters. Imposters just being like billboards in general, I believe. What is it? They just... Oh, this is nice. No, this isn't quite what I'm talking about. This is really cool. Basically what this is they're giving you a tool, as maybe you already know, where basically instead of rendering the object, if I know that an object is going to be far away or I'm doing some sort of level of detail system, I don't want to like right here, they're saying that it was 6,000 triangles, and you only have a certain amount of triangles per budget. Sorry, your budget is only a certain amount of triangles per frame. So let's say on the Quest, it's about 100,000. If I even have just 15 of these objects, I've already hit that budget. But if a lot of these objects are far away, I can just make an image of it instead. And just show that to the player because it's too far for them to notice. So this is just a package that allows you to easily take your objects, take pictures of them from different angles, and then take pictures of them from different angles and use that in your project. So that's cool. That doesn't really have to do with the depth texture or anything like that, but yeah, that is a cool asset system. Okay. How do you get the golden hands? You have to get really lucky, Nutty. It's a 1 in 500 chance. Okay, cool. So it looks like the legacy particles are working. Let me just figure out what the best one is then, if I'm going to be using these instead. Legacy shaders, particles. Okay, not that one. Not that one. Okay, that one doesn't even work. Let's put this back to 100. Yeah, it seems to look good. I don't know. All right, let's play and let's take a look at it. How do I get this to play once we're in the game? Yeah, okay, cool. It looks good. I think so. Looks good enough for what we're going for. Alright, sick. And we can mess with that later, but... Okay, cool. So we'll get rid of this. That was just our testing one. We'll go into smoke, materials, dust. Take this. You know what, actually, was it just exactly the same as no flipbook? I think it was. And I'd rather use the universal render pipeline ones. Oops. Forgot to assign this. No, for sure looks worse. Okay, so there's like whatever is going on in the legacy one, it's better than the universal render pipeline one, at least for this, what I'm doing here. So that's fine. Now we know, did a little bit of research, and we're good to go for the rest of them. Additive. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. Yes, Foster is correct. So let's look at this other project. How did we set this up here? basically just have this rock texture, which you can probably use. Do I want it to be a rock texture? I do think that will probably work. I'm wondering if there's a better texture for this. Because I had you out on rocks, and I'm thinking that maybe you could just be out on grass instead. Should be a little bit better. And then as far as the terrain goes, not quite sure how we want to do that. I guess we'll worry about it as it comes. Hey, Nekmane. Glad you're here. We are currently just working on some of the particle systems for the game. And now I'm thinking I need to put together the world real quick. Which I guess will be just a terrain with some stuff around it. And if I recall now, I had this hole because... Okay. And I believe I used an asset in Awesome AP Orb that allowed me to take a terrain and turn it into a mesh, which would allow me to write a custom shader for it. I wonder if I can do that. That's probably the best way that I'm going to get around this whole rock thing. Okay. So let's go back here. Let's create a terrain. Let's call it hills. And let's set it to -250. -250. Because that will center it on our player. Or at least I believe it will. Let's take a look at it though. Let's call this power level effects. Let's put dust under it. Power level helpers. Let's put the mic and the power level. I'm just organizing things so that I don't have to look at them. Nothing crazy going on right here. Okay, so I was wrong. It looks like... Really? I guess they're 1,000 across. I was mistaken. I was thinking I think they used to be 500 and now they're 1,000, these terrains by default. I'm not sure when that changed, but it seems like that's what's happened. Okay, very cool. So now you're in the center. Now I just need to basically come down here. Let me change the speed on this. Max 50. Okay, cool. So we basically just need to carve out some form of hill here. And then we were going to turn it into a mesh. Let's go into the package manager and let's get the terrain tools. And let's hope that Oculus, you know, I'm worried Oculus is going to have to do a whole re-import. I know I was having trouble with this earlier. There's some bug in the Oculus code where when you import new packages, it re-imports all the Oculus stuff, which takes forever. It'll take like 15 minutes. So this might be a 15-minute mistake here. Hopefully not, though. So let's see. In the meantime, let's take a look at Awesome AP Orb. Okay, and we'll need these. Preview packages are in the early stages. We recommend using these only for testing purposes and to give us direct feedback. Yeah, right, Unity, I'm going to ship with it. Okay, download assets, cool. So let's get rid of that, and then let's come into Hills, and let's, first of all, I think this can be way smaller, so let's go into settings, and let's make this 500, 500, which means that I'm going to have to go back to 250 here, and that should be centered, or maybe not. No, it is centered. I don't know why it's not showing me the tool. Okay, cool, so that's centered. Come back to Hills. This is always a little bit fun. And then basically I'm gonna do not transform, sculpt, noise, and we're gonna kind of build out this little world where you're gonna be powering up. So we need this brush to be a little bit smaller. Where's the brush size? Basically just need the mountains to be big enough that you can't see over them. Okay, so I was a little wrong about the center. Okay, shift appears to be smoothing. It was my impression that shift would lower the terrain, but for some reason it's smoothing it. Let's see here. I need to lower it. Okay, there we go. It's control click, for those of you wondering. When you have raise terrain, if you control click, it'll lower it. So I'm just going to kind of redo this here, since I was wrong about the center of it. Cool, we just need to make sure that that center stays low. And that it is a believable terrain. That looks pretty good to me. Maybe another peak over here. You're in some sort of mountain pass. Some sort of 500-meter across mountain pass. So, fair enough. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so there's actually a lot of really fun stuff you can do in Unity that doesn't require programming. Such as like getting audio effects in, grabbing stuff in VR, terrain tools, particle effects, things like that. I think animation you can do, all of that stuff you can do without coding. So you can, all right, see you Nutty Saul. I'll just call you Saul. Thank you for attending. And let me know if you make a game or something. Okay, cool. So now we have this area in the middle here. Let me actually go ahead and just do raise lower terrain. Let's grab this. Let's make it brush size. Let's make it, how far across do we want the player to be? I guess it's probably like a 30-meter area. And then we'll do control. Is this a dumb move? Yes, it is. There we go. Okay, that was stupid. Let's see. It's just too strong right now. Let me turn that strength down. It's Still too strong. Oh yeah, it's way too strong. Let me turn the jitter down, that down, that down. Okay, let's just accept that for what it is. And then let's... Okay, cool. So that should be good for that. Let us look at the player spawn again. Cool, so the player will be standing right there. And let's just take a look at this real quick. I gotta go, man. Can't wait to see how this game turns out. Thank you, Finn Foster. I appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully you can be a playtester. Alright, that feels pretty good to me. I think that's cool. For what it is. Alright, cool. So now we need to paint it. So where would that be exactly? I believe I have the textures over here. Not under sprites. Grass. Alright, this object here. Let's click on it. Okay, my computer is having trouble for a second. Okay, cool. Let me click on this. Inner terrain. Inner terrain. I'm looking to get this texture from the other project, but unfortunately it's a substance source object, and substance source does not appear to work anymore from the last project we did, which was a huge blow, but that's okay. We can probably find another... Yeah, I'm sure we can find other rocks and whatnot on textures.com. Let's take a look here and see if we can. Okay, don't know why it's loading in like this, but let's just click this one. Give me 1 second here, guys. I need to check something. Okay, very cool. Okay, which of these should we use for the standing area? I guess they all look pretty good. Rocky soil. Man, I truly wish substance still worked. It's unfortunate that it doesn't, because I like this texture. I mean, this, I think, works nicely. I guess it's just rocks. I guess I just like it via antiquity. I don't like it because it necessarily looks better than these ones. So let's just click this. Yeah, like, I don't see any reason this shouldn't work. Rocky soil 2B. Let's grab this one. Let's grab its albedo. That's the only one we'll need. I don't think we're going to use a... You know what? We'll grab the normal map too. Unity projects. Saiyan Power Up Simulator. Art. Audio. Materials. And here we'll do shaders and okay, and then we'll do rocky soil. Open it up. We'll call it rocky soil albedo. So that should be good. And then let's get the normal map as well, why not? Rocky soil normal. Very cool. So now let's go back to Saiyan Power Up Simulator. Let's click on hills. You know what I just realized? It has to be a terrain if... It has to be a terrain if we wanted to... It has to be a terrain if we want to paint multiple textures on it. Maybe we can get away with a terrain. Let me go in here. Turn that pixel error way up. Okay, wait, so I'm a little caught here because I need the... So this must have been what happened on the other... So this must have been what happened on the other project as well. I basically, because for one of the effects, the ground crushes in. And it should be cool, but I basically need to write a... You know what? It's honestly not that bad. I could probably just write a custom shader for this. It won't be too horrible. Yeah, no, it won't be bad. Using shader graph, it won't be bad at all. So let's see here. Okay, cool. So we'll move forward with the idea that we're going to basically export this, then import it, export it as an object, not a terrain, and then write a custom shader for it. So I think we should probably go ahead and do that. let's see here. We need to. One second here. It seems to be having some sort of trouble. Okay, cool. What is this? XR controller input, put it in the imported. Okay, so we're gonna need to make an editor. You know what, honestly, I'm gonna keep it under my scripts folder just to keep this a little nicer. And then we'll do import new asset, and we're gonna go back to Awesome AP Orb, which is a project that we did the same thing on. This is why you wanna make code that you can do this with. And we're gonna go into editor, terrain tools, export terrain, import that here. Okay, and then let's figure out how it works. Terrain, export to object. Cool, so we'll click hills, we'll do terrain. There's gotta be, I wonder if first I can, because let's make this a wireframe. I want less, it's too high resolution right now. And I'm thinking there's gotta be a way to make it less resolution. Oh, okay, just like that. Uh-oh. .256 by 256, that's gonna give me like, yeah, I could probably deal. Why is that not changing? Okay, 65, let's go with that. We're basically, again, we have a max vertex count that we can run on a quest, and we need to make sure that there's less of these little lines and dots here so that we can actually hit that. That's why games look worse on quest. Okay, cool, then basically we'll take this. Let's see here, if we're the player and we lift up 50 feet, where is that gonna put us? Up here, and if I'm standing right here, can I see over any of this? Maybe this part right here. Let's go ahead and paint this just a little bit higher. Cool. We basically just need it high enough that the player won't be able to see over it when they lift up into the air. So let's set that back to 0. Very cool. And then let's go ahead and click this, do terrain, export to object, export triangles, resolution, full, export, and then we'll export it to Unity projects. This assets, we'll just do right at the root there. Let's see if it exported correctly. Okay, it did. It just hasn't imported yet. Okay, so here it is. Very cool. So that is good for us in a number of ways. A, it doesn't incur a ton of draw calls. B, let's check how many. It should tell us, why is it not telling us? Read right, optimize mesh, blah, 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 blah. Scale factor, world vertices. I don't know why it's not telling us the amount of triangles in this, but that's fine anyway. Models. So we'll put that in art, and then we'll put it in models. I need a new, I basically need a new folder structure for my projects because it's been getting a little out of hand. So I'm trying some new stuff out here. New terrain. Put that in there. So then we'll get rid of this, and we will do this. My guess would be it's negative 500. It is. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you why it had to be negative 500, but that's what it was. Cool. So now we have this terrain. Let's get rid of this. And let's call this hills. Okay, cool. So now we need to... One second, guys. I think my dog might have gotten out and is barking at everything. So... I won't switch you guys off, but... Well, actually, no. If someone comes in, I'll need to. La, la. Sorry about that. Yeah, the dog had gotten out. He was barking, which the owners don't like. I guess, you know, whatever. I don't know if you're supposed to tell a dog they can't bark, but I don't really have a say in the matter. Hey, and whoever's in here, I guess it, you know what, it fluctuates. Who can even tell? Let me actually go ahead and change this to terrain. All right, cool. So now we need to make a really custom shader for this. And so basically we're going to open this up and we're, oh, you know what? We need to, I'm pretty sure the grass, pretty sure we need new grass too. There's gotta be grass that isn't terrible. Let's do this. Let's look for some grass. This is a great website, by the way, if you need textures, because it's free and there's just a bunch of free textures. And I think you get like 15 a day. And it's just called textures.com. It's extremely epic. We basically just need some like mountain grass. This looks nice. That makes me a little happy when I look at it. So maybe we'll do that one. This is nice too. Yeah, I'm just tired of all this boring grass that's more realistic maybe, but kind of, I don't know. I want some vibrance to this game. I don't want it looking like Silkworm did, where it was just all terribly bland. Although extremely fun, it was bland. Nobody would argue that. Let me write to Adrian and see if he has any interest in making any art assets for this game. Hey Gecko, Silkworm is done and submitted. We're just waiting for it to be approved. Essentially, there's only a certain amount of playtester spots. They're full more or less. I'll probably open up some more here, but yeah. So we're just waiting for it to be done. I'm currently working on Saiyan Simulator, which is a game where you scream as loud as you can. Okay, let's download this. And let's put it in not rocky soil, but grass. We'll just call it grass albedo. Albedo is just the normal color of something, and that's why they look the most like what it is that you're going to try to emulate. If we click on something like this, they don't have any normals. I'm looking for something with a normal map. These don't have any normals either, weird. Let me take a look here. If we do something like rock, you'll see there's a bunch that kind of resemble what it is that we're looking at, but not really, not like the albedo. The albedo, I mean, you really, it looks a lot like what we're trying to show. I mean, look at this thing. I don't even know what that is. So you have a height map, which is basically a grayscale value, but it's the height of the, it's basically the height of the, in this instance, the height of the rocks per pixel. So the darker values are lower, the brighter values are higher, and that's why it ends up looking like it has some depth to it. And then you have normals, which basically tell you how to interact with lighting. And then you have roughness, which also is a lighting thing, and ambient occlusion, which also is a lighting thing. But you'll use all these textures to make it eventually look like this. That's how that kind of comes out. So that's cool. Okay, very cool. So let's come back in here. We've now imported those. Those are just the two things we're going to need. And then we're going to come into the shader. We're going to do create new shader, universal and lit. Yes, that's what we want to do. We're going to call it we're going to call it, I guess, hills. We're going to open that up. And we're going to mess around with it. Okay, so what are we going to need? First of all, we're going to need sample texture. We're going to sample two textures in this. So we're going to do sample texture 2D. We're going to copy that. We're going to paste it. That's going to be cool. We're going to have these two textures here. We're going to feed basically the world position into those. So we'll do position, world. We're gonna split this. Wait a second. Actually, it's a little bit of a problem. Okay, that's not what we're gonna do. We're actually just gonna feed the UVs into it. And we're gonna have this one be the rocky soil albedo, and we're gonna have this one be the grass albedo. And for right now, we're going to put the grass in there. We're going to save it. We're going to come out. We're going to do materials. We're going to do hills. We're going to open this up. We're going to create a new material. It's going to be called hills. And we're going to use the hills. Put this on here. Very cool. So you'll see we'll need to tile it a lot more. So right now that kind of looks interesting, honestly, but we're going to need to go in and mess around with it some. So let's do this. I've never done this before, but I feel like this is going to go a little bit better for me. Okay, so I can see here, UV, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's actually take this and let's create a grass scale. Let's put it in here. And I'm getting way faster at this than I used to be. We're going to do UVs. That'll be cool. We're going to do a multiply. That'll be nice as well. And we're going to take the UV and we're going to multiply it by the grass scale. We're going to close this so that we can make the whole thing smaller. And then we're going to put that in here. Very cool. And then we're going to save that. And now if we come back to this, if we open this up, okay, so maybe it's not the best, but we can scale this, and now this grass will look a lot better. Very cool. We do not want it to, let's take a look at the graph settings. It's nice to be able to sneeze without hurting myself now. Okay, cool. So that's kind of how we make that texture look a little nicer. If you have any questions about shader graph, let me know. It's very fun, actually. And it's funny because I was so against shader graph because I'd spent so much time learning to program shaders. But this is just way better, if I'm being honest with myself about it. Okay. Let's make it a clear coat. Okay, let's turn clear coat off. I think there was, what am I looking at here? Why is it? All right, whatever. Who cares? Okay, cool. So we have that grass, and then basically we're going to blend based on the world space. This, let's create this. We're going to do the same thing. Rocks, scale, rock, scale. Okay, and then we're going to copy these, paste them, pull them up here, get rid of this. Oh, no, not that. Get rid of this, replace it with rock scale. Put that in there. Then pull this over to here. Very cool. And then we have these two textures that we are going to blend. So, boop, let's pull this over here. So how will that work exactly? It'll basically be, world position minus, okay, cool. So it's going to be vector 3, and that's just going to be 0. We're going to do a subtraction. We're going to subtract this world space position. No, actually that's not true. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to first split this. I'll make a vector 2. Okay, cool. So now we have, oh, you know what? It's that. Okay, so now we have basically a horizontal plane denoting their world space. So that's cool. I'm basically just getting rid of all this mountain stuff so that the mountains don't affect how far something is from the camera. And then we're going to basically, let me think. Okay, so we're going to take those, we're going to minus them. Then we're going to probably get rid of this one, create a node, vector 2. Cool, and that's still going to be 0. And then we're going to take this subtract, and we're going to subtract these from each other. Okay, so now we have this distance basically. So if we take a look at that, Okay, cool. And then I'm actually a little bit surprised by what I'm getting there. I wasn't quite expecting that. I was expecting a circle for some reason. I was expecting to get a circle, and I still feel like I should be getting that. It's world position, split x and z, no y, into a vector 2, subtract this 0 from it. I should be getting... Why am I getting... Okay, whatever. Let's not worry about it. The length of that, maybe this will give me what I wanted. There we go. It was because I did not find the length of it yet. So that makes more sense. So now there's this circle, and we're going to use this circle to blend these two textures because we want it to be rocks in the center and not so much rocks later. So there's different ways you can blend textures. I'm not really familiar with them. I'm not very good like that. So then basically we need to... We don't need to intervalize it since it's simple, so that'll save us some math there. But we do need to probably multiply it by something. So let's take, let's make another, and let's call it like rocks fade distance. Put it out here. This looks really nice, by the way. That looks real soft and just nice in general. Create a node, multiply this by this, save that, put this over here, and let me show you what that did. So now if we come over here, basically it'll give us something like that. So that's nice. That's real nice right there. Okay, cool. And that's gonna be a linear fade. You know what, actually? I think we might need to intervalize it. Let me think real quick. Because right now it starts at 0 and it goes to 1 over that distance, over the rock fade distance. Let's see. We have this input. The lower bound is going to be... is this one. Rocks, fade, distance, end. Then we're going to have this one. Let's just get rid of all this for now because it's confusing me to look at it. We'll put that here. Close this up so that we can see a little better. Zero and 1. Let's move this down here and let's save that. And then let's go in here and say that it starts at 12 and ends at 15. Okay, and that's more what we want because we want it to be rock for a little bit there and then transition over to, so we did need to do an intervalize, that's fine. Okay, cool. So now we have this whole thing up here, which I truly wish that they gave you some organizational tools for shader graph. That would be very nice of them. But that's okay, they already made a fantastic program. I'm sure they'll fix it eventually. Okay, cool. So we have this. Like, I want to be able to draw bounds around this and say, like, this is the texture blend, and these are the textures. Okay, cool. So now we need to do a lerp. We'll just do a basic lerp, and we'll see how where that gets us. And basically, I need to flip these. So this goes low, this goes high. Ah, it's terrible. Okay, and you're going to blend between rock and grass based on this. And then you're going to output that. Oh, perfect. It's perfect. Look at it. Okay, so for some reason the rocks don't really work. And you know what it is? It's this. Okay, cool. So it's a little bit weird, but it's not terrible, actually. Fade start. Let's say that it starts at 20 and ends at... So this is why there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can fade, that you can properly blend a texture. And a linear blend tends not to be the move. But let's see. But I don't think it's terrible, actually, to be honest. I think that might suit our needs. We do, however, need to get rid of this smoothness value. I don't actually know why I have that. Because it's nowhere in here. Okay, and let's take this value. Let's actually put it into, I'm curious here. Let's put it into the smoothness. Okay, so that's not really what I was going for there. Let's see. All right, let's see here. It's kind of messing up, but I'm not sure why. Let's make this 0. Okay. And let's... Okay, am I crazy here? Why is it looking like that? Like, as far as I know, this is not how specular works at all. I don't know why it's doing this. Clearly I'm wrong in some way. So I guess let's just put it back to metallic. And just okay, but now it's not doing the... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's because now the smoothness is 0, and under a metallic framework, the smoothness is what I was expecting it to be. All right, see you, Thought Drifter. Thanks for helping as always. I appreciate it. And the game will only be better for you having been here. So I appreciate that. Have a good day. Okay, and let's play and let's see how it's looking. Feels a little claustrophobic, I have to say. Feels just a little bit claustrophobic. Let me take this. Let me make it twice as big. And let's take the player spawn. Now it's at the edge there. I think I just need to do -1,000. And let's play. Okay, this is way better. Way less claustrophobic. Maybe honestly, maybe I'll even do it again. Make it a little bit bigger even. Hills, three big ones. And this, let's make it 2. It's funny because when I'm using the world space like this. Okay, and then let's make this -1,500. Should be good. Okay, cool. Okay, I think that's probably the right amount. Yeah, I'm feeling good about that. Then let's take hills. Let's increase this rocks scale. What am I at right now? Jeez. Okay, cool. I believe that will stay, but apparently I needed a scale of 720. To make it look good. I don't know if the Duck Gaming, hey, is any update on when Silkworm is coming out? No update. I submitted it to Oculus, and we'll see when they get back to me. They take a while. And just for reference, I don't think they're going to get to this night. I mean, let's take a look. Awesome AP Orb is still under submitted. It's not even being reviewed. So they haven't even reviewed Awesome AP Orb yet. And I don't know. They need some changes over there. Let's see here. And hey, everybody who just joined, I'm currently making the terrain. So I know it looks a little silly, but it doesn't look so bad in headset, actually. Basically, let's see here. I'm basically just making a little field. This linear blending of textures is a little weird, I think. I wonder if there's any... How to blend textures. Texture blend algorithm. I'm sure there's some sort of with an opacity and then some of the results. Sure. Maybe that's what I need, actually. Instead of this linear blending. Maybe I need to... Let me take a look at this. Okay, so I have this interval here, and I'm using it to... I might need to... There are currently not any spots open for playtesters, although that might change, actually. So just stick around in the Discord for that. I'll put something in announcements if there are. Okay, guys, so basically I'm thinking the way I'm currently blending these textures is I'm just kind of taking one and I'm just kind of transferring it to the other one. I'm not really doing anything crazy here. I'm thinking that if I get alpha involved, and maybe I can do this real quick here without it becoming like a whole thing. Do a subtract, 1 minus this, 1 minus this, and that'll go to the... minus this, then we'll need to... We'll need to do a split for this one and this one. We're going to split these vectors. We're going to output these and this, and then we're going to need to make a vector for what did this guy say? Okay, so I actually don't think I need to do that. RGB alpha 1 times, let's see. Basically, the formula here is what I'm trying to follow. Probably a few weeks. Hey man, will Silkworm be released? Yeah, thanks for helping me out with that in the chat code. I appreciate it. Let's see, so we have the rock texture and we have the grass texture. And then now we need to multiply them by their respective alphas. So what we need instead is a multiply. And then we'll put that, we'll get rid of this for now. We'll put this in front of it. We'll take this one. And we will copy that because we're going to do the same thing down here. We'll get rid of this one. And we'll multiply this one. Okay. So the grass will be multiplied by this normal one. And the rock will be multiplied by that one. Then we add, and let's add those together. This is looking a little crazy right now, and let's see what that gets us, if anything. It kind of looks exactly the same as what we just had. Maybe I was already doing this, I just didn't know. Let me think. Yeah, it might have been that this math works out to be the same as what I was already doing. So I think it looks exactly the same. So is there a better way to blend these textures? Okay, that's fun. Okay, cool. So we will just stick with what we had for now. Because honestly, it looked fine anyway. We can always come back and touch it up later. Okay, cool. Let me get rid of this. This grid. How do I do that? I always forget. It's somewhere in here. Cool. All right, get rid of the grid so that we can see easily. Okay, so we have the terrain, and let's go ahead and then take the power level helpers, not that, dust flat. Why is that not working again? Because the material is missing. Okay, so that will be the first one. Let's play it and let's see how it looks. Alright, sorry guys, it looks like my phone just died, so I won't be able to... Let me plug it in while I put my headset on, that way I can get back into the chat. But I will not see the chat for a few seconds here. Okay, put this headset on. Alright, cool, so we're looking around. Let's turn this on. Okay, and suddenly it's messed up, and I'm not quite sure why, because previously it was not. Let me move it up a little bit. Maybe it's a positioning problem. Okay, yeah, it looks like it was just a positioning problem. Okay, let me check something here. If I go into my settings and I turn on depth texture, and then where were the soft particles? Then I go to dust. All right, let me keep that at 1. Let me keep that at 1. Let me come back to the settings. Let me turn my phone on. And depth texture is on. I'm just thinking maybe I have to restart it to get that depth texture to work. Okay. First of all, let's turn that up. Okay, and then let's see here. The problem is that it's colliding with the terrain. Let's see if Universal Render Pipeline will help us out with that. Okay, it does. It does indeed. My question now is, can I get rid of that? Okay, and then let me restart to make sure that it works. La la la, let me play this. Okay, now I can't even see them. And I assume that's because I turned off this. And now I can see them. Okay, very cool. So that's fine. I'm fine with that if we need it, because it seems like we kind of absolutely need it unless there's a way to get around it. Let me check exactly what they mean when I say depth texture. If enabled, the pipeline will generate the camera's depth that can be bound in shaders as camera depth texture. That's nice and all. I don't know if that means it's doing a pre-pass or if it means that it's just... Sorry guys, let me pull the stream up real quick. I don't know if that means it's going to do a pre-pass or if it's just using the depth texture. Because using the depth texture is not all that bad. Using a pre-pass would be pretty detrimental to the game, unfortunately. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Okay, very cool. So, let's see here. Let's look up Universal Render Pipeline Settings Depth Texture. Actually, let's just look up this. I think they would be more explicit about it if it was a pre-pass. So I probably was wrong. I think I told Thought Drifter the wrong thing earlier on that, unfortunately. Well, turning on depth texture enable pre-pass. Actually, you know what? I think I remember... You know what? I think I actually remember something where someone was asking for it. Somebody wanted a depth pre-pass in the Universal Render Pipeline, and there wasn't a thing yet. So we should be safe on this. Okay, cool. So that's fair enough. I'll turn that on. We'll go back to Dust Flat, and that should be all good. We'll play it. Cool. Let me go into the material just to tweak kind of how it looks. Because to me it looks a little bit. Let me do this. Let me change this to hue saturation value. I just want less of a, I want it to be more of a darker dust. Yeah. Cool. And then that should be good. And I don't recall, sometimes I forget if I tested something. I don't remember if the other, let me just do this for a sanity check. There was this other, and these are what's called shaders, guys. They determine how something will sort of be rendered on the GPU. And I'm selecting these shaders here. So let's do additive soft. Yeah, it's not. I wonder why the softness doesn't work. What soft particles means is basically when it intersects with geometry, it'll slowly fade it out so that it doesn't look so horrible as it does there. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but universal render pipeline particles, simple lit. And you see that just clearly looks way better. Okay, cool. So now we have, you're basically standing out in a field. Are you in the center? You are in the center. Dust flat. We'll add particle system power event, power level start 1, parameters, delay, stop on level loss. Okay, very cool. So let's save that and then let's play and let's see if it works. So we hold 1. Okay, it did not quite work. That's fine, honestly. Let's take a look at particle system power event. Okay. The key was not present in the dictionary. Power level start. Okay, and it's because I need to set the script execution for Power Level Manager to run first. You know what, honestly though, what I'm going to do instead is change this to awake so that it'll run before all the enables. And now this should work. Okay, so now you're screaming. Wait. Okay, and that's a little bit more of a problem. Really? Let me see here. Interesting, okay. Power level start, which is an integer, go over here, on awake. It's going to set up the actions dictionary. It's saying the key does not exist. This is being called. Am I missing something here? Int actions, blah, blah. Okay, let's debug. Setting. Okay, and then hey, Duju Hansna. I'm glad you're here. Sorry, I probably didn't say your name right. We're currently just working on Saiyan Simulator. Interesting. Okay, wait a second. That's interesting. So this is calling, which is on enable before this, which is in awake. Which is interesting because awake happens before, unless I'm like have been mistaken for a very long time. Unity order of events. Here it is right here. Awake is called, then on enable is called. So they're both sitting in the scene. They're both sitting in the scene. This one should be calling on awake, but it's not for some reason. And let's take a look at the script execution order. Yeah, so there's no changes there. So that might be a bug. That might be an actual Unity bug. Because it's pretty much clear as day that awake should call before on enable. And the bug that we're having is that it's not getting set up before this is called. As you can see here, it's displaying that it's 1 before it's displaying that it's setting. So that's really interesting. I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I guess I could add power level manager to this and make it call earlier on, and maybe that will fix the problem. Maybe that will sort out whatever bug Unity is having. And it did. It's just a bug, just a Unity bug. No worries. We fixed it, so. So we're powering up, we're powering up, we're powering up. We hit it. The dust is now flying. You're powering up to max levels. Okay, cool. So that should be good. All right, guys. Very cool. So we have hit 5. That'll be it for today. I'm going to go into the Discord, into the Make New Friends section. If anybody just wants to hang out, I'll probably be in there for 30 minutes or so. You can ask me questions or just get to know me, because I'd like to get to know you guys. So it was a good day streaming. There's hair in my headset. Thank you for everybody who showed up, even you. Sims Hansa, I'm sorry that you showed up just a few minutes before we ended here. But if you want to get to know some Unity stuff, this is a great place to do it. So I should be doing this about every day. I don't hold that strict of a schedule anymore, but it should be about every day, as long as I have a project to work on. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining, and have a good day.